Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
This is Autoline Daily for Wednesday, May 26, 2010, and this is episode 400. And here's what's going on in the automotive world, and we start out talking about electric cars. Canadian supplier Magna announced that it will build 2 plants to manufacture lithium-ion batteries, one in the U.S. and one in Europe. Bloomberg reports that this represents Magna's first foray into making batteries, and it will invest up to $600 million to build the facilities. Meanwhile, half a world away, Mahindra in India is buying a controlling stake in a company called Riva, which makes electric cars. Riva has been working with General Motors to develop an electric version of the Chevrolet Spark, but Bloomberg reports GM's now looking at other options as to what it's going to do. Riva is developing an EV called the NXR that's supposed to go on sale next October in Europe with a price tag of only 15,000 euros, which is just a bit over $18,000. It's supposed to hit a top speed of just over 100 kilometers an hour and have a range of 160 kilometers, which is about 100 miles. Now, back to Detroit, where Nissan CEO Carlos Ghosn was in town yesterday, singing the praises of electric cars. He said that the first year's production of the Leaf electric car is sold out, which is about 18,000 units, and he dismissed analysts and competitors like Honda who question whether EVs are really going to catch on. But here's my Autoline insight. Carlos Ghosn has not exactly bet the farm on EVs, but he sure put down a big bet, a $4 billion bet. He claims that Nissan will be selling 500,000 EVs globally by 2012. That's only 2 years away. That is mighty ambitious, and he sure faces stiff competition. A study by PricewaterhouseCoopers says that automakers will have 42 different electric models on the market by then. Carlos Ghosn has to pray that he hits his sales targets, which he should be able to do as long as governments around the world offer massive subsidies for buyers. But I don't think those subsidies will last more than just a few years. And if EV sales hit the wall when those subsidies dry up, Ghosn is going to be remembered as the guy who saved Nissan and then let it down a blind alley. Automakers are always coming up with more and more safety features. Things like knee airbags to blind spot warning systems were the stuff of science fiction just 20 years ago. Some of the newest ones on the market today include active systems that automatically apply the brakes if a crash is unavoidable. BMW offers a version of this technology on its redesigned 5 Series, and it recently put it to the test. This picture shows the dramatic difference. The car in the background was crashed following standard Euro NCAP guidelines. It impacted an offset barrier at 64 kilometers an hour. The 530D in the foreground hit the same barrier, but its brake intervention system slowed it down to 40 kilometers an hour just before impact. Quite a difference. Obviously, hitting a wall at slower speed is better, but applying the brakes does more than that. Occupants are pushed forward into the seatbelts, and the vehicle strikes the barrier at a slightly lower angle since the nose pitches downward. According to the China Car Times, Fiat is ready to reintroduce the Chrysler brand in China. This follows a failure of its own joint venture in the country with Nanjing Auto. Chrysler was partnered with BAIC, the Beijing Automotive Industry Corporation, but Fiat's eager to pair it up with Guangzhou Auto. It's uncertain which models would be offered, but the article mentions that Chrysler could build Jeeps there to capitalize on the Chinese affinity for compact SUVs. And speaking of China, Pininfarina, the Italian design house, likes what it sees there. According to the AP, it's estimated that the company controls about 30% of the Chinese design market, working with automakers like Chery and Brilliance. In fact, the company's making more money in developing countries like Brazil, India, and China than it is in Europe, and that's been the case for nearly 5 years. To help grow its business, the company is also offering engineering services to its Chinese customers. And no wonder Pininfarina is doing so well there. According to Gasgoo, Chinese car sales could hit 17 million units this year. Formula One racing's coming back to the U.S., but probably not where you would expect it. Austin, Texas will host the U.S. Grand Prix starting in 2012 in a deal that runs through 2021. The city will build a purpose-built track specifically for F1. And I sure hope the city of Austin knows what it's getting into. F1 is famous for screwing all the different American venues that have made the investment to hold Formula One races. Just ask the Indianapolis Motor Speedway what it thinks about the millions of dollars it spent to have Bernie Ecclestone pull the rug out from under them. If you're paying close attention to the new Ford Fiesta in the American market, you'll note that there's a hatchback version and a sedan version, and they both have different front-end styling. Why'd Ford do that? We'll take a look right after this.
Introducing Bridgestone's third generation of run-flat tires with groundbreaking new Bridgestone technologies. Bridgestone run-flat tires offer improved ride comfort, lower rolling resistance, and improved wear while giving you the peace of mind and comfort you need.
The 2011 Ford Fiesta is just about ready to make its debut in North America. As you probably know, two versions of the car will be available, a four-door sedan and a five-door hatchback. You may have also noticed that each has a slightly different looking front end. So what's that all about? Well, that's just what we asked Steve Pintar, the chief program engineer for the Fiesta.
When we started the program, we didn't set out to say, hey, let's make these two cars look very different. But every time we went to customers or in a customer clinic or in a discussion, we would see people really kind of picking their favorite.
So what drew customers to the four-door?
The language they would talk about when we said, well, why do you like the four-door? The language was very consistent, whether they were male or female, or a younger buyer or an older buyer. They said the same words, and it was consistently, I like the look of the car, it looks more luxurious, it looks more sophisticated, it looks like a sleek sedan. So they kept talking about those kinds of adjectives, and that's where we said, well, we'd like to dress up the front of the car, add a little bit more chrome. So we put the chrome grille that, again, it matches with the styling DNA of Ford across the Fusion and some of our other product lineup, and it looks right with the rest of the car.
And what was the appeal of the hatchback?
They would say it's sporty, it's sleek, it's functional. I can see it being fun to drive and an exciting ride. And so we wanted to evoke much more of the European front end with a monochromatic look, the color-matched grille going across, a little bit more of a rally look, if you will. And so we wanted to match the front end with those adjectives.
Pricing for the four-door starts just under $14,000, but the hatch is nearly $2,000 on top of that. So it'll be interesting to see if buyers prefer the looks of the hatch or if they'd rather save money and go with the sedan. Don't forget to tune into Autoline After Hours tomorrow night. Our guest for the show will be Sheila Ranas, an expert in military and defense matters, all talking about the ties between the military and the auto industry. Yeah, the auto industry still plays a significant role in the national defense, but maybe in ways that you would not expect. That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern on Autoline After Hours. And that is it for today's top news in the global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.